Next guest is not new to our field either, and she has been one that I have followed consistently over the years. Heather Mansfield is actually the principal blogger for Nonprofit Tech for Good. And I'm excited that she's here because she's been working with PIR and .org, and I'll talk a little bit about that with her. Heather, good to see you.
Hi, good morning, Derek.
So I heard a rumor that you got in really early this morning.
3 a.m.
You were supposed to be here yesterday, right?
2 hours sleep, so all right, here we go.
So talk to me about Nonprofit Tech for Good.
Sure, it's a blog. I've had it for about 5 years. And my experience when I was working in the nonprofit sector was that a lot of technology advice was written in a very difficult, hard to understand format for most people.
Yeah.
So Nonprofit Tech for Good, its purpose is to really talk about Facebook, social media, email fundraising, website communications in a very, very simple language with lots of pictures.
Good. Now you're working with the .org, the PIR group. Let's talk about who they are. What are they doing?
Sure. They are the Public Interest Registry, and they're a really interesting nonprofit. They've been around, I believe, for 13 years, and they are the nonprofit that manages the .org domain. And then, you know, of course, they just launched .ngo and .ong on May 6th.
Wow. Okay, so what is the difference between all of these?
Sure,
Yeah, because
sure.
our audience might be a little bit not understanding this.
Well, here in the United States, most people associate the term NGO, non-governmental organization, with an international development organization.
Got it. Okay.
But NGO outside of the United States, in Canada and the UK and Australia, in developing nations, it is the equivalent of saying you're a nonprofit or saying you're a charity. So an NGO in Vietnam, for example, can be an animal shelter or a hospital. So for most charities, nonprofits, and NGOs outside of the United States and developed countries, NGO is the common term. So of course, .ngo is a reasonable domain to use. And .ong is the same thing, non-governmental organization, except in a Romance-based language, such as Spanish, French, Romanian, Italian, and Portuguese.
So should we get all of these? I mean, if I'm an organization, should I be doing this or not?
Well, my honest advice for nonprofits based here in the United States is to buy the domain, .ngo and .ong. They're sold as a bundle together for about $50 US, and then have them forward to .org.
Got it.
And then watch as the trend evolves and watch as the domains spread around the globe, but get in early and get your domain while it's still available.
Is this something that we see bigger organizations doing versus small? I mean, is it going to be a lot of education needed?
You know, we really don't know who's going to buy it first. I'd say the first ones are small ones.
Yeah.
But of course, they're small organizations at the grassroots in countries all over the world. And what's really important to understand is only a legal charity, legal nonprofit, legal NGO, or legal owned can buy this domain. Anyone can buy a .org domain, a business, an individual,
so
a nonprofit.
Some checks and balances, some trust in there. Yeah.
There's a validation process you have to go through to prove that you are a legal charity to use the .ngo domain.
Yeah.
So the trust that's inherent in that. So imagine the first time you get an email from so-and-so at amnesty.ngo. You know that is the real Amnesty International organization.
What's going to happen to the public? I mean, how are we going to help them understand? Because historically, this .org has been everything. So.
Well, I was thinking about that this morning. You know, next month is the 30th birthday of .org.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And people are still, you know, I can still talk to people and they don't know what .org means. Like, why would I buy a .org? So we see the long view, the education process of what an NGO is, or how to use the domains, or what On Good is, which is the online directory where you have a profile if you buy the domain, and you can accept online donations. That's probably going to take a decade.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's talk about On Good even more. I have to give a little shout out to them because they are a supporter and sponsor of MCON this year, of course. But tell me, what is On Good? You mentioned it briefly.
Well, On Good's pretty fascinating for me because I've been in this business for 20 years, right? And when you buy a domain, .ngo or .ong, you get a profile inside of On Good. So On Good is an online global directory of validated NGOs worldwide. So what it's doing every time you buy those domains, by default, it's building a global database of legal, validated charities, NGOs, and nonprofits. Now, when they did research of what should On Good be, they said, we need fundraising capability. Now, here in the United States, we take that for granted. There are hundreds of online fundraising tools. But if you're in Vietnam, if you're in Malaysia, if you're in Botswana, even if you're in Eastern Europe, it is difficult to fundraise online. So in some places, PayPal's not even available. So On Good also offers the capability for small NGOs, large NGOs, whoever uses the service to accept donations online. And that's just the beginning, right? So where it's going to be in a decade, and again, we have the luxury of the long view to see where it's going to be in 10 years.
In terms of technology, what have you been writing a lot about lately?
You know, it's still the basics. You'd be really surprised. If I train in a big city like Washington, D.C., or New York, or San Francisco, we're talking about Snapchat, we're talking about mobile, you know, we're talking about Medium or some other new tools.
They're here, by the way, Medium.
Oh, they are? Or Tumblr even, right? But if I go to Cincinnati, or if I go to Houston, or if I go to Baton Rouge, it's still, how do I use Facebook? How many times should I tweet every day? Right, so I live in St. Louis, Missouri. I think that keeps me outside of, you know, the bubble of we're all like big city experts on social media.
The flyover, as they'll say.
Right, exactly. And keeps me grounded to work with the small nonprofits that are still trying to learn the basics, even on how to use email. Right, even how to fundraise online.
So why is it so tough, though? I mean, why do you think so many struggle? And even with this, like On Good and all these things.
Right, it's capacity.
Yeah.
You know, small nonprofits, they don't have the budget. And it's been a battle raging for 30 years getting executive staff board to spend money on technology. It's capacity.
Okay, so a few seconds left here.
Yes.
Tell me, where should the audience go to find more information about On Good?
ongood.ngo.
Oh, excellent. And then get your .ngo, of course, and all those, right?
Exactly, yeah.
All right, thanks so much.
Thanks
It was
so
so
much.
great to finally
have a good day,
you.
Darren. Thank you.